Okay, and we are online. So everybody, it's wonderful to see you. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Nadjeschda Taranczewski, and I'm the founder of ConsciousU, and we create blended learning coaching programs for organizations and culture transformations and inner work. And one of the programs that we have designed is called CU Money, and it is all based on Peter's work, which is one of the core tenets of his work is the money work, and then the other work is the source work and the source principles. And we are here today as every 6 weeks to, as we would say in German, to ask Peter a hole into his tummy. So to ask so many questions, hopefully. Now, Peter, just a quick hello from you before we get started.
Well, hello.
You can extend a little bit. No.
Okay. I'm kind of semi-jet lagged at the moment. I've just come back from the French Antilles, and it's a lot colder here than over there. And there's a lot more news and a lot more sort of, you know, unwelcome news like millimeter capsules in Australia, which have nuclear energy and stuff like that. You don't get that kind of news in the French Antilles so quickly. So yeah, that's all I have to say for the moment. Hello, everybody.
Well, it's great to have you here, Peter. And yeah, so I thought with everybody else, before we get started, to maybe just have a moment of sort of a very quick check-in that you have with one other person in the room, just so that you don't think this is just to consume, but it's also to participate and to yeah, to really be present and have something to ask. I mean, obviously, Peter is also very he has words, right? So Peter, I will draw stuff from you even if nobody else would ask you a question, but it is more lively when you do have a question. And the exchange we'll be having is very quick, right? So we'll give you something like 6 minutes to talk to one other person. Maybe you have 2 other people in the room, and just to quickly say sort of, who am I? Why am I here? What is of interest to me? Right? So what would I be asking when it's about money, about source, about how to create more love in business, how to live more according to a more natural principle of doing what I love with and without money. So that's your very, very quick exchange. Yeah, so don't get too sweaty about it. If you are in a group of 3, you really have to do it quite quick. Otherwise, you'll be running out of time. And we'll see you here back here in sort of 6-7 minutes. Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so everybody else is still in their breakouts. A few of you came out earlier. Hi, Christina. Hi, Rainer. Hi, Cecilia. And hi, Wolfgang. And Jackson. Hi, Jackson. Yeah, so actually, I think it would be wonderful, Peter, to say a few things about what you just started sharing with Anna-Marie once everybody gets back. Hang on, let me actually pause this for 13 seconds. Right. So wonderful. So while we were in our little twosome, Peter, Anna-Marie joined us, and they were getting into an interesting exchange already. And Peter, I thought it would be wonderful to hear your thoughts on Frederic Laloux's work and how that is connected to source, and what he's doing now and how that is connected to money.
So hi, everybody again. It's so nice to see some good familiar faces. But Anna-Marie is not a familiar face. She found her way into this room by herself, and is an expert on decentralization and so forth. I think she's being humble right now.
Yeah, I just spotlighted you, Anna-Marie, so you can turn your mic on.
Has been working on this for many years and discovered source by herself. And I was just questioning her whether one of the entry doors or the entry door was Frederic Laloux's work. And she said yes. And I was saying, just in the point of saying that actually Frederic Laloux's work has been like an entry door for the source work. and that he's just come out with his new initiative called The Week, which many of you may know of. It's to do with getting groups together to focus on action for climate. And I was just saying to Anna Marie, actually, once again, he's going to do great service, because not just from that work, but then also for my work, because I see that as the precursor for the money work, because I don't think the groups are going to be able to manifest what they want down to earth without looking at the relationship to money too. And at the moment, it's not in there. So that was just what I was on the point of saying to Anna Marie.
So Peter, Anna Marie, I'm going to release you from the spotlight. Peter, we just have a question in the chat from Brooke. I don't understand when you say the program's name. Oh, okay. So we'll put that in the chat in a moment, Brooke. I will dig it out of the files. Okay, so now we are ready to have any questions that are relevant for you. And while you gather your courage to put up your hand, Peter, I'd love to hear a bit about your experience just now, because you came back from a very interesting place.
Thank you. Yes, it was very interesting. I was in Guadeloupe and Martinique, which is the French-speaking Caribbean. And I went there on kind of spec on an invitation from one of the participants in my masterclass, Sophie Chastanet. And when I accepted her invitation, which was kind of holiday for the month, she and we decided we should run a couple of money seminars and source seminars too, mainly for business people. And when I landed, Sophie said, I don't think anything is coming off here. And I said, well, you know, never mind, we'll have a good holiday. But within a few days, she actually put me on a radio interview, and we had 100 people the following day in a so-called conférence, in a presentation in a hotel. And we had full seminars within a few days, actually. So I ended up doing 4 seminars, 2 in Guadeloupe, 2 in Martinique, and my partner Barbara did her vision process in Martinique as well. So we had a pretty full month, so I've just come back from it. It was absolutely wonderful. It's amazing how things just worked out organically from one thing to the next. It was like.
And, oh, Peter? Can everybody else still see Peter, or no, it's gone? I think oh, now you're back. Peter?
Yeah, how long was I away?
Just 20 seconds or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the experience a little bit deeper, because I'm assuming that is a particular neck of the woods where people have not necessarily heard about your work. Maybe they're not as deeply into Fred Laloux's work and self-organization and all. So how were you received? How did that make sense to them, and what did you share with them?
Actually, I was in Martinique in 2007 to 2009, but this was a different audience. This was mainly, we were looking at business people and business associations and people who are doing startups primarily. And from the business associations, it was very interesting. They were interested at the start, and Sophie got right to the top. But as soon as they had to sign up, they disappeared. So it wasn't quite right for them. But we got various individuals, and one of them, you know, one of the leading lights from this particular association. And he did 2 days of money work, which he'd never been exposed to before, and then flew over to Martinique, especially for the Source Day, because he got fascinated in this too. and then disappeared. But you know, everything needs to become ripen in its time. And so we were with the pioneers in this work over there. And, you know, there was a lot of interest, a lot of warmth. And as I said, it all arose quite spontaneously, quite quickly, quite spontaneously, but with a lot of energy that Sophie Chastanet and a lot of courage she put into it to get it all together. She surprised herself actually in what she was able to bring together in such a short time. But not,
Yeah,
but without but you're right, Nadia, without the exposure yet.
Yeah.
But we were able to go as deep as in, you know, CU Money with the group, with all the groups.
Yeah. Well, I do find that the elegance of this work is, it's a bit like with constellations. There are some principles when they're observed, they just make sense in a way, right? You can feel them. It's more a sensing than necessarily something that you understand from the head. So regardless of where you are in your developmental journey, there's something about that just lands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, and you know, this work was always attracted the people at the highest level of consciousness. So I'm very, you know, very grateful and very privileged to be working with that. One of the things, though, is that it doesn't attract the mass. So one of the participants, actually a whole family, flew over from France, and the mother in the family is an expert on hypnosis and on addiction. And she had prepared, her son does the marketing, and he'd prepared a whole evening presentation in another hotel. And they got a mass as well, very easily. So, you know, the subject of addiction, for example, if you're selling addiction, it's not difficult to attract really masses very, very easily, much easier than with the relationship to money. But of course, it's a different audience.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And we attended, it was very interesting to see. So, you know, if you put out something called CU Addiction, you'd probably have 1,000 people on the call and instead of 20 or 30, but it'll be a very different audience.
Yeah. And, you know, that's another thing that I love about your process is that you've always trusted the process in the sense that this will take as long as it will take to really take root and then be disseminated in a way that is also, sort of honoring the essence of what you have brought into the world, right? Yeah. So it's not a watered down version of it, but something very true to it. But so, listen, we have Brooke with a question. So Brooke, you are online.
Thank you. So, hi, Peter. Hi, everyone. Good to see some familiar faces. I have a big question, so you don't have to answer because it might take a few days to answer probably. But what I'm seeing, like, yeah, I'm very lucky that I'm with a lot of conscious people because I work with Thiel and Frederick Laloup's work too, and in purpose work. So I'm very lucky in that way. But when I look around, especially the younger generations, being in the United States, I think is worse than being in Europe from what I see too. Like, people don't make enough money. There's no stable job. You just watch like 160,000 people got laid off from tech companies. So mortgage in this country takes 30 years and there's no stability about their jobs. How do they make plans? They don't know what to do with their lives. And a lot of people around my age don't have savings enough to last for a lifetime because we live a lot longer. So I know that you're all around the world talking about money to find something different than the money exchange that we have. So I wonder how you look at the future of the world in terms of like people not being able to sustain their lives, not having any stability in their jobs. So I don't know if you have a positive view about that or even a negative view, of course, but how do you look at the future of this generation including mine, which is Generation X, who don't know even how to even retire if they have to.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, I could answer this for 3 weeks, but I'll do my best to be shorter. It's very interesting, Brooke, the time we're in, because even in Martinique and in Guadeloupe, as we also have here in Europe, and I think you have in the United States, particularly during COVID, people lost their jobs and they don't want to go back. Mm-hmm. And they're not going back. Mm-hmm. So even though what you're saying may be true, you can see that something else is happening, mm-hmm. that people are moving increasingly in a direction that they're not going to be slaves anymore. Mm-hmm. And, you know, slavery in the Caribbean is a very big topic. I discovered this in 2007, 2008 already. And I walked and addressed it immediately when I got there this time. And it's really interesting, a different response, because people really don't want to be slaves. And it's not just the Caribbean. And the whole point is to look at this, from my point of view, from an aspect of consciousness rather than money. Because mm-hmm. the more conscious you become, the more easily you find solutions. Now, mm-hmm. in 2009, when I was there, Martinique was on strike for 45 days. They're highly dependent on France for the delivery of all, you know, food, mod cons, everything. And they found their way to survive very well. Now, you know, they have land and everything, but it takes some time to get things running. But they found their way through. So my take on this, you might say it's optimistic. I don't think I'm either a pessimist or an optimist. I think I'm a realist. And I don't see the present system we have coming to an end until we are at a certain level of consciousness. But we are heading in that direction. So what you're describing is heading towards the end of the present system, mm-hmm. Including the financial system, which was founded 300 years ago, mm-hmm. and is not sustainable beyond a certain point. But it will be sustained until that point by us, by our consciousness, until we are ready to let it drop. And in the meantime, we will be continuing to develop other means of exchanging amongst ourselves. You know, a Bitcoin is just a start, Ethereum and the crypto coinage is just a start, and a pretty primitive start, actually. In the same way that this technology that we're using now, right now for Zoom with your mobile phone, we'll be looking back in 10 years and we'll be laughing that, you know, we're using such a primitive tool as Zoom. We'll probably be, you know, seeing things in 3 dimensions. We'll be doing, you know, communicating by, who knows, telepathy, or I don't know. But you know, but I see that this evolution of our consciousness and technology hand in hand will continue. And this is not going to be good for everybody, I think. So, you know, those that are not ready to move will have a very hard time. And there's no way you can force somebody to evolve or develop. Everything, as Nadia was saying, needs to ripen in its own time. So we can do our best. Everybody can do their best as they can for themselves and others. But, you know, I learned took me quite a long time to learn. You can't force anything. You can't force a tomato to be ripe. You have to wait until it ripens, and then it can be picked. And that's how I contextualize, in a larger sense, what I feel is going on at the moment. Okay. Does that respond in some kind of way?
Sure. And maybe just one word or one thing that you can say to the young ones. Like 49% are living with their parents, with not sure how they will ever rent, or forget about like buying a house. Do you have anything like something that you can tell them to have more hope for their own futures?
Yes, they must look to see what they love doing. It's the only solution. They must find what they love doing and do it. Because if they're focused on buying or renting, if they're focused on money totally, they'll be lost.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Peter.
And Brooke, maybe one thought I had about this as you were exchanging. I'm also sometimes a bit baffled. Like, we as humanity, we sometimes behave like people who want to have their cake and eat it too, right? So in a sense, we want to change the world, and many of us assume that this is necessary, but we don't want to have the discomfort that comes with a transition like that. Yeah, so there's also something about, it's a bit like any growing process that any of us have experienced in our personal lives. It's like there is something that we cannot not experience. And I do feel this is like shedding a shell, right? And for my book, I found this wonderful little story about this rabbi who goes to the doctor, and the rabbi is real. There's a wonderful YouTube clip of him on YouTube, and he talks about sitting at the doctor's office and reading about how lobsters grow. And he has this great metaphor, right, where he says, well, apparently when lobsters grow, there is a moment in time when they have to shed their shell, because otherwise they cannot grow into their new shape, right? But of course, as they're shedding the shell, that's the most vulnerable state this animal will ever be in, because it doesn't have a shell. And he says, see, and that's the only way to move forward, is to let go of that shell if we really want to expand and become something new. However, if lobsters were people, they would just go to the doctor, and the doctor would prescribe them Prozac and painkillers so that they can handle staying in the shell longer, right? And I feel we're a little bit like that collectively. So there is something about embracing the pain and feeling what you're feeling right now, right? Feeling the grief about this, feeling how deeply this touches you, your own story, and that of the young people that you see around you. And the other piece for us is, we do have the power to reinvent everything, right? And I think we keep forgetting, because somehow, I don't know where that happened. It's like most of us here in this room still live in, halfway functional democracies, let's put it this way. And we have the power to vote. We have the power to engage with people that we feel represent a future that we want to be part of. And for that, though, we need to let go of this addiction of money, because in a sense, we cannot have a wonderful green planet and then still insist that I need to be rich, right? So there's a little bit of looking at what is it that we're actually asking for. So that's another thing that, that I thought of. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you. Great.
Any thoughts? Yeah. What's touching you right now? Because I see that this is moving you.
Yeah, it's just like everything. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm always in that space where nobody felt like what you're saying, Peter, for example, 25 years ago, that's who I was. Like, left my job at IBM, wanted to do what I love to do, always being more conscious, reading everything. But at some points you feel like, oh my God, this is so challenging for decades and decades. And I'm seeing the young people around me, it's just like they don't want to live with the parents. They want to have those great jobs. I work with clients who have the best potential and they know exactly what they want, but they don't know, there's no company that is sharing their values. So they don't know what to do with that information now. And when you go on your own business, 90% of them fail in 5 years. So they're all struggling, and I see that all in front of me. So I definitely see that we're in the breaking point, and it's definitely not sustainable. My whole work is all about that, but it's still, like you say, Nadja, thank you for saying that. It's just like, it's very uncomfortable, but there's no other choice. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling with all of you, I'm sure. Yeah. So I don't want to take the whole time, though. I'm sure there's some people who have great questions too, but thank you so much.
Yeah, but Brooke, I think you raised something really important there, and I want to honor you for also going to where the pain is, because I really think if more of us could do that and sit with this incredible discomfort and sometimes the complete feeling of disempowerment, of not knowing how to fix this, right, we would also be at a different place, because people take just about any substance or develop any addiction just not to feel that. And I think we need to feel it. So you're role modeling that. Thank you. Okay, Wolfgang, I will put you up here.
Oops. Thank you very much, Nadia. Thanks, Peter. I have a question. It's maybe a bit of a half source, half money work question, perhaps. And I wish I had taken the CU Money course already, but I think I'm going to do the next one now, if it's still possible. In any case, my question is the following. I've been, I think I should be courageous enough to say the source or the initiator of an initiative. I asked you a question about that actually half a year ago, where there has been a conflict and then a split, and you helped me see that I was, and accept or reclaim that I am a source of conflict, which was very helpful. Also the source of this conflict, or a source of this conflict. Meanwhile, some time has passed, and so there are now two groups. Mm-hmm. And there have been some efforts to talk with each other, but it was difficult and not as successful as we had hoped. And now I and a colleague of mine, we have worked on a rebirthing of the initiative, which is a community project for a larger community. And we want to use the funds that we have for that project for small grants for projects from community members. So to help community members find out what projects or ideas or priorities they care about, and help them develop projects and give them small grants so that they can bring these ideas to fruition. And we want to give a special kind of grant that's a little bit larger and a little bit easier as a process, as an offer to this other group with which there was this conflict and this split. And we're just about to send to them that offer. And I don't know why I cannot precisely say what the precise question behind it is. I wonder if it is, what will I do if they accept but with resentment? But I'm not sure if that is the actual question. I just knew that I wanted to ask you this today. Okay. Well, so maybe you can help me.
Well, let me turn a question back at you, Wolfgang. What is your motivation for giving them that grant?
That's well, it's a bit multi-layered. I would say for me, the motivation is, it's two things for me. One is that I believe that what the others are trying to do, even though it might seem a bit unstructured, etc., but I'm not to judge it. I think it's worthy of support, and I don't want to deny the possibility of such a support for them. The other part that is a bit challenging for me to look at is that there is a hope that the conflict will I wouldn't say it disappears, but that things will become easier, because a line of tension about these resources will, well, I don't know. While I'm saying this to you, I feel like I'm probably bullshitting myself about it very much. And I should completely let go of any hopes of that kind and really focus on something else. So, but I'm not sure.
So let's go back, because I don't think you're clear on giving this grant at all at the moment. And there are other things that need to be addressed, I would suggest, first. So let's go back to this tension you're talking about with the other group. Now, from a source point of view, I'm guessing you're the source of the whole of the whole. So the person, so the other group is being led by a subsource.
Yeah.
By one person. So
I think, yeah, I assume yes, and I don't know if they even want to think about it in such a way. But anyway, I don't know if this matters.
it does.
Sorry.
It does.
It does. Okay.
It matters a lot.
All right.
So, so you know who that person is, whether they think it's important or not. And if there's some doubt there, it would be a doubt which is reflected back to you in not taking your position as source of the whole fully. So do you have some hesitation in seeing yourself as source of the whole?
I think yes, and I proved it in the beginning when I spoke with you. I said,
yes. So, so that there may be still some remnants of that. For you individually, but also in your field. Yeah. And this is actually probably the cause of this tension. So, so the tension is between you and this particular subsource.
Yeah.
And it's not you and the group. It never is. It's always, you know, one needs to personalize these things to be able to reconcile them. So this is the first major step, I would suggest.
Wow, yeah.
Now, give me 3 adjectives for the particular person here. And don't be polite.
Okay.
He is...
God, this is challenging. Because of the words that come up.
Yeah, come on.
So the first one was gentle, which I mean kind of gentle spoken.
Okay.
But it also, certainly there's a gentleness in the person. The second that came up was, I really get a really strong heartbeat here. The first word that came up was manipulative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, now to think of the third one.
So, okay, if it's difficult, we'll just stay with the first 2. So he's a gentle manipulator.
Yeah, it's a she, but yeah.
Oh, she. Yeah. She's a gentle manipulator. And she's probably gently manipulating you, right?
Yeah. Partly gently, partly not so gently, but it's in a disguised way, in a way. Like it's not.
Yeah. So it's like
at least for me.
So it's like behind the scenes. So she's subtly, gently manipulating. It's a subtle, gentle manipulator, or a hidden what's the word? There's probably a better word. But let's just stay with gentle.
Subtle is good. Yeah, let's take
subtle, gentle manipulator.
Okay.
Okay. So, are you ready to do a little work? Yeah.
Okay, I have to. Yes.
So
yes.
So just try saying, I am a subtle, gentle manipulator, and let's experiment and see what happens when you say that.
I am a subtle, gentle manipulator.
Mm-hmm. What goes on when you say that?
There's something in my mind. Even before I said it, I thought, oh shit, that's true. But bodily, I feel after I said it, the body mostly feels light, but my jaw, I notice, feels tense.
Okay. Okay. So you're actually in the practice of subtly, gently manipulating her with the money here. This is your intention. Isn't that so?
Yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but I think that's true. I mean, it's part of the truth. Yeah, but yeah.
So, okay, so now just say, I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and I give myself permission to be this.
I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and I give myself permission. Permission was there more, or? Yeah,
permission. Yeah.
Permission.
You allow yourself to manipulate.
I allow myself to be a subtle, gentle manipulator and to subtly, gently manipulate.
How does that feel? What's happening with your jaw?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It's not so tense anymore. No, I can it becomes loosened. It actually wants to move around a bit. I notice, just like it does this little kind of movement that I never do.
Very good.
Yeah.
So now we go a little further. I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and that's okay.
I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and that's okay. Now I notice that I'm subtly but noticeably sitting up straight.
Right, and breathing better. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like there's a kind of something drops or anchors in, I don't know, because the breath is a little bit, but something's becoming grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and that's good. It's perfectly okay.
I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and it's good and perfectly okay. Now I notice a shift in, I don't know if this is kind of like, it becomes a bit joyful. Like,
yeah, it's cool.
Like, yes, it is. It's cool. It's okay. It's like, I right now feel no reason to be ashamed about this.
No, I mean, if you were doing a massage, you wouldn't be able to really be a good masseur if you weren't a subtle, gentle manipulator.
Right. And that is true. Yeah.
So you're doing very well. You're very sensitive with your body, which is excellent. So let's now look at the other side of this. So what's the opposite for you of being a subtle, gentle manipulator?
Well, if I go directly to the opposites of these words, it would be it's not about the semantics, but let's say reactive. Okay, if I really go to the opposite, I would be a first word I'm not sure, but like a brutal.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, the word dictator comes, like a brutal dictator.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So try saying, I'm a brutal dictator.
I'm a brutal dictator.
How does that feel? What happens there?
The jaw becomes tense again.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
jaw. So now give yourself permission again. You can be a brutal dictator and give yourself permission to be one.
I give myself permission to be a brutal dictator.
Yeah.
I'd say the other way around. I am a brutal dictator and I give myself permission.
Yeah.
I was checking with my jaw, but it's not as loose as it was before. So.
No, it's more challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you've been trying to be is not a brutal dictator.
Yeah.
And unconsciously, you have been both a brutal dictator and a subtle, gentle manipulator. But probably you've been a subtle, gentle manipulator and trying not to be a dictator.
That is very true. Yeah, yeah. It's like I'm trying to. Let's say I try to do whatever I can to not be seen as or labeled a dictator.
Yeah.
Which actually is happening. I mean, I am seen as that, so maybe that's a blessing. But yeah, but I resist it, even though. Yeah. Anyway, that's. Yeah.
So you know the first person you're a dictator with, a brutal dictator with.
The first person.
Yeah. That you're a brutal dictator with.
Well, like globally, with myself.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So this is what we're resolving now.
Yeah, right.
So, and we're resolving it, there's a paradox here, by saying, I am a brutal dictator, and I give myself permission, and it's perfectly okay to be one.
Yeah.
So try saying that.
I am a brutal dictator and it's perfectly okay. I give myself permission to be a brutal dictator and it's perfectly okay. And it's actually quite cool.
Exactly. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's still challenging, but it loosens up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, where, people who have done this work know where we're moving to. You see, there are situations where it's really necessary in your position as source to be a brutal dictator, to concentrate the energy and get things done.
Yeah.
And this is when you are and it's appropriate, it's a contribution to everybody, not just to yourself.
Yeah.
And there are other situations where it's appropriate to be a gentle, subtle, gentle manipulator. And then it's a contribution to everyone.
Yeah.
So this is about opening the channels to be able to manifest both when it's appropriate, but then to be discerning and choose the moment when it's one or the other. Because if you choose the wrong one, if you're a brutal dictator when you should be gentle, that's not going to serve you or anyone. But the other side, if you're being gentle and gentle manipulator, when you should really be being brutal, that's not going to serve anybody either.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're opening the channels for both possibilities that you have at your disposal at any moment. And with that, you're actually transcending this whole question and this whole problem, and transcending this whole conflict. So that you can reconcile. And after you've reconciled, you will be in a good position to be able to decide whether it's appropriate to give this grant to this lady or not. But up till this point, you're not in a position to do so. So try. Let's see where you are now. I'm a brutal dictator, and it's cool.
And it's what?
Cool.
It's cool.
It's really cool.
Yes, it is. I'm a brutal dictator, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we'll go back to I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator.
I'm a subtle, gentle manipulator, and that's cool
too. Yeah.
That's cool too. It's yeah.
So how is this generally feeling with you now?
Well, I mean, generally, I'm feeling kind of very straight and clear. I mean, I'll just use these words like, and Great. That's kind of my internal feeling. And outwardly, if I think of that particular person or the whole conflict, it feels very, right now, it feels very calm in me. So I'm
wonderful.
Yeah. I shouldn't say I expect this to last, but right now it's like quite peaceful in me. I know it requires these qualities that we've just talked about. So I cannot just rest in harmony, bliss, peace. Yeah. But and if I bring these qualities to the situation,
that's all you need to do, Wolfgang.
Yeah.
You need to just, if they're not integrated yet, and these are quite fresh, you just remember these phrases.
Yeah.
And you repeat these phrases at that moment.
Yes.
And you will be returned to the state that you're in right now. That's how this works. It works like your anchor, these phrases. So I recommend you to write them down after we've had this talk so that you will remember them. The word remember is actually you're reinstating them again.
Right.
So, Nadia, come in.
I was just thinking in CU Money, one of my favorite German proverbs that applies to very much what you've just been through is der Ruf mal ruiniert, lebt es sich ganz ungeniert.
Yeah.
So in English, that is, once your reputation has been ruined, you can live without shame. Right. So now that you have found your manipulator and your dictator, I'll be very excited to hear what becomes possible. And love to see you and see your money, of course, as well. It's still possible.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Registration closes on February 8th. So.
Oh, okay. I still have some days.
Great.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Bye, Wolfgang.
Oh, pleasure.
Okay,
Thank
Peter,
you.
do we have time for Jackson's question? One more?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Jackson, hang on. Oh, sorry. I wanted to.
Time is flying.
Hi.
Hi, Jackson.
Hey. So my question in one sentence is, do you plan to retire? And to add a little more, I work in the retirement industry now, and it's just such a unquestioned premise that we should be accumulating enough so that we can stop working at 65. And having gone through CU Money, it's like very shocking to face this every day. And I'm just curious, what's your personal approach to that?
Okay, thank you. How old are you, Jackson?
30.
Okay, so I actually retired at 33. In the sense that, or maybe 34, in the sense that I stopped doing anything that I didn't want to be doing, and started doing what people think they want to be doing when they retire. In other words, stop doing the work that you don't love doing and start doing what you love. And I just started when I was 33 or 34. So in that sense, I've retired. And therefore now I'm still active, but I'm busier than I was at 33 or 34 right now, I think. But if you're thinking of retirement plans, forget it in the conventional sense, because when I was at business school in 1980, I did the calculations for the pensions industry, looking back in history and looking forward. And my calculations then, and I think they were quite accurate, was that the purchasing power of pensions with the existing system would peak around the year 2000, and then would start to decline, and probably decline at an exponential rate. So by the time you're 65, if the retirement age is still 65, but it may be 75 or 85 by then, because they keep putting the years up. In France today, they're going on strike because they want to increase it from 62 to 65. By the time you get your pension of a few million or multi-million, it may just about buy you a cup of coffee. And you're in the industry, so you should be able to do the calculations there.
Yeah, I'm reading that stuff.
Yeah. So so in my book, 30 Lies About Money, thinking all this through and thinking how much people pay in the last years of life to be on machines and drugs and operations, my recommendation was to invest in your health all the way through to the end of life. Yeah. And that's the best investment that you can possibly make. And it's very different to probably your grandfather or great-grandfather or so forth, because the pensions industry, I think, was built from the 1920s, 1930s onwards, and was very, very useful for the industrial generation. Yeah. But for your generation, looking forward, I would say forget it. And I think the leaders of the pensions industries, they know that too. My brother, just a final note on that. My brother in London happened to be in a meeting with some of the leaders of the insurance and pensions industry. And there was one lady, and the rest were men, I think, at the time. And he went up to her and said, do you insure in your own, and do you have your pension in your own pension fund? And she looked at him and laughed and said, are you joking? So you can do your calculations and just stay healthy. That would be my best advice for you. Invest what you have in doing what you love and keeping healthy.
Yeah, I've been thinking about alternate ways to invest in retirement since CU Money, especially since working in this industry. Great. And that's kind of what I came to as well. It feels I feel very crazy thinking this way when everyone's saying every single day, you should be max out your 401k, get the match, etc.
They are crazy. They are crazy. But if you can come up with some alternative schemes, use your intelligence and consciousness to come up with some alternative schemes, also financial schemes. Yeah. And you'll be ahead of the pack.
Well, the big question is whether to even remain.
Yeah, Jackson, I was just thinking of one of those alternative schemes that I heard from a wonderful woman by the name of Mickey Kashtan, who I met through Greater Than, right? And she talks about, I don't exactly remember what she calls them, right? But it's basically pods of people who pool all their money. And it's a very radical idea, but she said, you know, how come we feel less safe thinking that we are in a pod with 6 people that support each other and that pool all of the money that they have and live out of that pool, that it's safer to be just by myself, right? And whether or not we go down that road, I think there's something really interesting to look at in terms of what does that bring up for us? Like, right, it's immediately, I will be unfree, I might be taking advantage of, or what if I feel guilty because I haven't paid enough money in the pool like everybody else? So, but I think it's a great thought experiment to think about, what if you were putting all of your money together with other people, maybe even cross-generational, right? So I'm beginning to have conversations like that with my wife Olga and some of our friends. I don't know if we'll ever do this, but the idea, you know, there's money now that I don't need anymore, that the friends we have who are 27, they do need that. They're at a very different point in building their lives and their careers. And at some point, we will be old, we don't have children, and to have people who feel that they're connected to us, and of course, not in a sense that we bought them, but because we've made a web of something, right? Somehow there's something really appealing about that to me. And I just wanted to break that as one kernel of there are ideas out there.
Yeah, and just to add on, Jackson, Mickey is crazier than you.
She certainly is.
She is actually, you know, secretly she wants to get rid of money altogether, and maybe not so secretly. At the moment, you know, she's also a big failure. She's tried many things and failed, but she does have a very strong intention. She's a very strong lady. So yeah, good luck.
So let us crazy people unite. You know, I definitely think there's room for a lot of creativity. Okay, you guys, I will listen, everybody. I will, as always, send you an email after we're done with this, and it will include all the links that you need, including the one to Mickey Kashtan. So you will definitely hear more about her. So I'm gonna unpin Peter and myself so that we can have our little goodbye ritual. So everybody who's on camera right now, if you could unmute yourself, and so that we can hear you and see you. And now let's make some noise and find some people in the tile next to us to say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Peter, as always.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.